Hey everyone, welcome back to YumoTube, and today I have some new rackets from Yonex and Victor, and I'm sure you guys are really excited to know how the new Astrox rackets are like, and the Auraspeed and the DriveX racket is like. So I'm gonna try it out myself live for you today, and let me tell you how I feel these rackets are like. Follow me. So the first racket I have on hand is the Auraspeed 98K, and focus on me. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go hit a couple and you can see how it sounds like and feels like. Okay, let's see. Strong. I like it. Wow, that smash is. Ooh, sounds good. Whoa, sorry. Ooh. In terms of smashing, I feel like, wow, it's very solid. In terms of the flex, it's a little bit stiffer than the rackets I usually use, but I feel like that also gives me a little bit more of the control because there's less it's less elastic, so I can control where I want the bird to be. Whew, out of breath. It's been a while. Okay, let's do some net shots or something. Yeah, let's do that. Whoa. Oh, so good. Now let's take a look at the Astrox 100, the ZX and the ZZ. And they look quite a little bit similar at first, so I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm gonna test out how they actually feel, and let me give you my thoughts about it after that. Let's do it, let's practice, and let's try it out. I'm gonna start off with the ZX first. Let's do it. Yeah, so after just hitting a couple of smashes with this racket, I felt like, yeah, it was heavier on top, I felt like. So then I felt like my smashes were quite solid compared to the other rackets I've used before that were a little bit lighter. It can actually handle, it's heavy enough to get the bird to go with more power and weight. So let's try the net shots and see how it feels, because it feels right now a little bit heavy. So I don't know if it's gonna be like a good touch, but we'll see. Let's try it out. That was Ooh, that was good. So after doing some net shots, it was a little bit heavier for my liking. Usually when I do a net shot or when I'm playing front, I do like a lighter racket, and I do feel like it's a little bit on the heavier side. But that being said, I was able to do some really sick shots, some net rolls even. So I think it's not a compromise, but I definitely felt like in the back it was way stronger than compared to me playing the front. So let's try the other racket. Now we're going to try out the DriveX 9X by Victor, and what's noteworthy about this racket is the technology they put into the handle, because normally for a normal racket it's a wooden handle, but with this technology this is actually plastic, and the benefit of having that is for wood, sometimes our sweat will go in, so then it affects the weight and it's just less consistent. So with the plastic, it doesn't absorb any water, and then so the whole racket is more stable like that. And also, another noteworthy thing that I do see here is there's a little twist in the racket frame you'll see in the bottom, and that actually, I've never seen something like that before. And what this does is it helps the pushing downward motion. So I'm gonna give it a try and see if it's how that feels like. Let's try some backcourt shots first and do some smashes. Let's do it. Cool, that was my first few hits backcourt. For me, I felt like the racket frame is a little bit more round, so it felt a little bit different from what I usually use, the isometric longer head shape. So it felt like, like if you're holding a fan, it's like there's a wider area. So it felt like, it felt a little bit different there. But in terms of the racket, it's very as it said, it was very stable. And also, I do feel like the shaft is very stiff. And that's because this is like the stiffest Victor has really made their rackets. And I do feel that. And I'm usually more on I usually play with a more even balance. So then, depending on what type of player you are, you'll find that this is stiffer, and if you like that, let's say the Voltrix Z-Force 2, it's a little bit stiffer, and a lot of people love it. And I feel like this is close to that. And so depending on what type of player you are, if you like the Z-Force 2, then I think this racket is good for you. Let's try some net shots and see how that feels like. Got the touch. Nice. Perfect. Yes. In terms of the feel, I had to really adjust my own preference because the stiffness it's not my usual preference. And I do feel like when I was playing in the backcourt with this one, I felt like it was more solid. So in terms of probably, again, my own preference, stiffer rackets are a little bit harder for me to control in the front if I'm doing technique shots. Thank you. Let's try some drives. Yes. So yeah, I did really like that feeling. For me, because the area is bigger, I felt like, when you're like eating a pancake, it's like if you're using a pancake to body slam, it's like, yeah, it felt a little bit different, but I feel like pushing down, it was very strong, and I was able to finish the rally. And so compared to a more narrow frame, I feel like those rackets are a little bit more targeted and less just hitting it down. So this really, I did really feel like it gave me the force to push the birdie down when I was playing more of a front court game when I'm in the front just to finish in the front. So yes, I really like this DriveX 9X for the downward shots, which I think that's a highlight for this racket for me. Now let's try out the Astrox 100ZZ, and just by holding it, I feel like it's a little bit lighter than the other Astrox already, and so let's see how it compares and how it feels like. Let's do some smashes. Wow. So after doing some backcourt shots, I definitely do feel like the racket head is less heavy, so I felt like I had to generate my own power a little bit more than the other racket. Because with this one, I feel like it's less head heavy. I had to really swing to generate that smash, so I felt like I needed extra effort to get the same kind of power. But then I do feel like it's definitely slimmer, and the control, I do like how there's like a spot over here that my thumb can rest more comfortably in, and I think that's definitely a cool selling point. Like, let me just show you. There's like, let's focus. Yeah, okay, I don't know if, yeah, there we go. Okay, there's like a little thumb area, which is designed for the thumb to rest right over there. So I do feel like when I do the front court, I think that's when the racket will really shine through and be different. Let's try the net shots and see how that feels like. Ooh, tight. Oops. Wow, felt really good. Oh, got it. Ooh, yeah, that was good. I like how it's not as head heavy, and again, like for myself, I don't really like heavy rackets when I'm playing net shots. It just feels too clunky. So this was definitely very, the weight was appropriate, and I thought it was easier to do those net shots that are a little bit tighter. And so far I didn't really have the chance to use the thumb part yet, but when I start doing some drives, I think I'll really feel the difference. So let's do some drives and see how that feels like. Ooh, that was a sharp angle. Ooh, I like that angle. Wow. One more. Felt really good. Yeah, especially when I'm closer to the net, I felt like I was able to snap and get that angle a little bit more because it's not super heavy. I was able to have a better reaction time in the front and just get back and like go boom, just hit. So I do like this racket for the front play and the mid-court kind of driving play. So that is how I felt about these 4 rackets, and if you're interested to know the details like the specs, you can check it out in the links below in the description box. I put the links for you so you can directly see what the specs are like, and make sure you check out the special, the code below, because you might see a surprise there. And remember to subscribe to us, follow me on Instagram, @toesyumo, and remember to check these rackets out. Hope you like that. See you next time. Bye.